Now, what do we need to know about them in order to determine if they are someone we should be booking in with our clients? Like if someone's telling you, oh, well, empty nest, we're looking to downsize, kids are left, probably looking to make a move in the next 6 to 12 months. If that person doesn't have representation, they said 6 to 12 months, they're open to using our client and they want to meet inside the next week, here you go. We've done everything that a person in our position could possibly do to set you up as our client for success with that opportunity. You guys don't feel good? Slower? All right. That's okay. Not every week is going to be absolutely crushed. In your tie-down question, when you ask them like, hey, why are you considering selling? Why are you moving? There's one thing that I think you guys hear a lot. If I was sitting there and maybe didn't know exactly how to handle it, it might throw me off. We're going to get into that. But what's the North Star of our calls? What's the ultimate goal?
Book appointments.
Book appointments for sure. Okay, so book appointments with who?
With homeowners who want to sell in the next year for a legitimate reason.
With motivated sellers. That's really the main thing. And the key word, the operative word here, obviously, is people who are motivated. Now, what do we need to know about them in order to determine if they are someone we should be booking in with our clients? If we can define our quality bookings as appointments with people who are actually motivated to sell, what do we need to understand in order to determine if that's a booking that is that?
The why.
We need to understand their why. So, like their actual motive. Why are they actually thinking about selling? What else? Timeline. Are they motivated in 10 years or are they motivated in 6 months? Very different quality for our client. What else?
Are they represented?
Yeah. Representation. Do they have another agent? Obviously. And then there's maybe one or two more things.
Are they open to working with our agent?
Yep. Are they open to our client? Obviously, those are our criteria. What else?
Date and time. Agreed.
Yep, an agreed to date and time. Because ultimately, if we can turn around and say to our clients, hey, we just sent you somebody who doesn't currently have a real estate agent. They're open to working with not only one real estate agent, but they're open to working with you specifically. They're looking to sell their house inside of the next 6 months or so, even 12 months. And they have agreed to a date and time to meet with you that is inside of the next week. And by the way, they want to sell because XYZ. Obviously, there's fallibility in any process where the agent gets on the phone with them and they've changed their mind by the time the appointment comes. They go, you know what, never mind. And that's sometimes when we hear a client come back to us and say something like, yeah, they weren't motivated at all. They didn't want to sell at all. There was nothing there. What happened? And that's always what we're looking at is what happened. Danelle spent 12 and a half minutes laughing and having a great chat with this person. I'm not picking on you, you good appointments, but this happens to all of us. Danelle had a great chat with this person. They have no other agent. They're open to selling in the next 6 months. They agreed to the time. What happened? And sometimes we go back and look at those after the client said, well, that guy wasn't motivated at all. Those are typically the ones where maybe we didn't flush out a really good solid motivation. And so I'm sure you guys have all heard when you get to the end, hey, so just before I book you in and make sure we're on the same page, why would you consider selling? You called me, I don't know. And I'm sure you guys hear that like semi-regularly, at least somewhat. You guys hear, well, I don't know, like you called me. I'm open to hearing what you guys have to say, you called me. And typically if you look back on this answer and go back to like an articulated motive, there usually isn't a really strong articulated motive. And now obviously like what are some of our motivations that when you hear it, you're like, oh, this is actually going to be a great booking.
Downsize, upgrade.
Downsize in unison. Upgrade. What else? Relocate.
I have a lot that are like second homes that they want to just get rid of. They don't have a use for anymore.
Divorce. Second home sale.
Kids out of school.
Yep. Kids. Someone just signed.
Job.
Yeah. Job relocation. Yeah, retirement, huge. Equity. I guess that might fall in the upgrade, but sure, yeah, like a new build. Out of all of these, what might you say is the one or maybe two that lead into this more than the others?
Money.
I would say that might be one of your only ones. And so, like if someone's telling you, oh, well, empty nest, we're looking to downsize, kids are left, probably looking to make a move in the next 6 to 12 months. If that person doesn't have representation, they said 6 to 12 months, they're open to using our client, and they want to meet inside the next week, here you go. We've done everything that a person in our position could possibly do to set you up as our client for success with that opportunity, right? Short of actually like attending the meeting with you and handing it off, pretty much everything we could possibly do to make sure that this is good, we've done it. And it's because there's a really strong, isolated, and articulable why. And I think outside of everything else, these are actually really important things. Obviously the timeline, because this is what we promise in our contracts, as we promise on our sales calls. We promise that there will be an agreed date and time inside of a week. We promise that they're open to using our client. We promise that they've confirmed they don't have rep. Again, some people might lie to us. That happens. Some people might be like, yeah, I don't have an agent. They talk to ours and they're like, yeah, of course I have an agent. Get out of here, man. Like that happens sometimes too, but it's again, only so much we can control. What I do find though is the biggest hinge is when you guys can get a really strong and expressed, articulated motivation for their move. And that's something that sets us so far apart. This is the thing that sets us so far apart from any other program and what puts us in a different league outside of everything else that they could buy. Because if they're buying online leads, no form online, 0 of them are like, why are you moving? ? And if the thing is there, very easily they leave it blank or say none of your business or NA or money, or it's very unclear. The agent gets onto that call kind of blind, right? Whereas for us, we can strongly articulate to them, hey, they're here because they're looking to downsize in the next 6 months and they don't have an agent looking for some help with the move. And by the way, on the other side of the deal, they're going to need help purchasing something as well. New couple, the woman just got a new job that's relocating them upstate, and they got a huge signing bonus, so they actually want to upgrade their house. They have a new kid on the way. They have 2 right now. Being able to say those things to them are things that online leads can't provide. It's things that these AI dialers is not going to provide. It's all this other stuff. This is the thing that makes us so powerful in the market, is being able to, before they get to the appointment, understand completely why that person's attending the call, which also puts us in a really strong leverage position if they ever come back and they're like, hey, this person wasn't motivated to sell at all. It's interesting because when they were talking to Irina or they were talking to Jordan or whoever, they told us specifically, like, we need to downsize because XYZ reason, and they need to do it on this timeline because of this reason, and all the respect in the world, but like, curiously, what happened? How did that change so drastically, right? And obviously for us in our dashboard now, we have the processes that we recommend they follow, the scripts that we recommend they follow to properly hand it off, because I've seen it many, many times. Some of our agents will show up clinically booked in this very delicate, like, okay, this person's good, but they very clearly were like, hey, I'm not like trying to sell tomorrow. I know, don't worry, this is over the next 6 to 12 months, when it makes sense, whatever, we just want to be here when the time's right, whatever. And then the agent might get on the phone and be like, hey, I heard you talked to Dale, you want to sell the place. And they're like, what? No, I didn't say that. That's not, and then they're backing out of it because their sales resistance is through the roof all of a sudden because of something the agent said right out of the gate. So in order for us to really be able to hand off like pretty much everything to them with confidence, knowing that like, hey, if you do your part right, these are going to transact. You just need to do your part right. And I'd say 8.5, 9 out of 10 times when we deliver something, we're pretty confident in being able to say exactly that. What I do find there's some correlation between is when we get hit with this and then the response of the agent being like, yeah, there was no real motive there. Like it just wasn't, well, I couldn't get anything going with this person. They didn't answer. They didn't show up to the appointment because there isn't a real articulated motive. So if someone does say that, my recommendation, and we'll go into like what you guys do ultimately right now, it's probably pretty similar, if not exact. I would just double down and just drill down on the question again with some level of humor and lightness, just to say something along the lines of like, hey, so just to make sure we're on the same page, if you are considering selling, why? Like, why are we meeting? What's the point here? Well, I don't know, you called me. Yeah, I know, but you get a lot of calls. I'm sure I'm not the only person who called you today. And I'm sure you don't book a meeting with absolutely everybody, because otherwise you wouldn't have time for this one. So realistically, if you were gonna actually sell it, like what's the reason for that? Like, why even sell? Almost like a pull away. If they double down on it, it almost turns into a pull away. Like, yeah, I know, but I just want to make sure that like I'm not just booking a time on your calendar that's gonna fill up time for no reason. And I assume you don't want to do that either. So I guess for you, you don't have to sell, obviously. So why even explore it at all, right? Just to kind of give some ambivalence of like, yeah, I know you don't have a specific reason, but you wouldn't just be booking it, right? Kind of like what Nicole says in that clip I always talk about is if they say, I don't think so at the beginning. If at the beginning of the call they say, yeah, I don't think I'm going to sell, you guys hear that and it's like, oh, okay, I've got an option here. There's potential in this call, because if it was really no, they would have said, absolutely not, take care, goodbye. They would have hung up or just politely left the call. So for them to say, well, I don't know, you called me. Yeah, that's true, but you also stayed on the phone with me for 11 minutes, which you wouldn't have done if you had absolutely no interest. So knowing that you absolutely do not have to book this, and knowing that you have absolutely no need to actually sell in this 6-month time frame that you already gave me. Why though? You know, really digging into that and figuring out the reason. Obviously, if they just keep going, like, I don't know, you called me. Not booking it, but getting to the point where it's like, hey, look, I don't want to waste your time. You know, I don't want to book this in. But not because I don't want to waste my time or the agent's time. Should we even put something on the calendar at all? Like if they really are like, I don't know why I would sell, you called me. We need to get something, because again, the no-show rates on this are really high. So it's like, hey, let's get a better motive out of them to increase our show rate.
If that's the reason, it's almost better to just book it as the nurture, because it's not like they said they wouldn't sell.
Totally.
It's not like they said that there was like, oh, I'm not selling. They said you called me.
So I think that's a good process to like, one is just to drill down, and I can script this out to kind of make it a bit easier so we don't have to guess on the actual call, but just to drill down like, hey, yeah, I know I called you, but it's been 11 minutes. You don't stay on the phone with everybody, so why even consider? Well, like I said, I don't know, you called me, it's just good timing. Yeah, I know, but knowing you don't have to book this, and you certainly don't have to sell your house, I mean, like, why even book it on the calendar if it's just sort of like, well, whatever, like, I don't know, maybe should we just call you back in a year and see what's up, or like, you know, why even book it? Well, no, I mean, a year's kind of far. I am looking to downsize. Okay, good. I got something. Now I can click it and away we go. So you get your thing in the pull away and away you go. And if at the end of that they're like, look, I'm going to be honest with you, I'm not looking to sell right now. It's probably a couple of years out still. Oh, no worries. Let's not book an appointment then. Then you could just nurture it and put it away, because then it's in line with the expectations, right? And I think that's such a big thing that even I continue to learn about delivering our product and about anything. It's expectation management. And that's really what it all comes down to. Like, if you go into something thinking that something's going to cost you $500 and it costs you $5,000, that $5,000 is going to look crazy, because you're like, that's 10 times higher than what I thought it was. Whereas if you go into something thinking it's $500,000 and it's $5,000, you're like, whoa, that's crazy, buy it right now, because it's the frame, right? So same thing for our clients. If we're promising them this for an appointment, and this piece, which I'd argue is one of the most important pieces, is weak or missing, then they show up to the appointment's like, dude, I don't know, your girl called me, like, I told her it's not really urgent for me right now. Cool, but if that gets sent out as a nurture instead, the expectation is that they're not ready right now. They're not ready for a call right now. They're not ready to book right now. So if you are getting hit with this, which again, I don't think we get hit with it a lot, but I do know when we get hit with it, the show up rate is not that high. It's good quality on our end because we've fished and found this person. But deliverable wise, it's just missing a pretty important piece. So if we can't get around it, and it's kind of like when we talk about in sales when someone says I need to think about it, that's not a real objection. I need to think about it is not real. It's either a trust problem, money problem, decision maker problem. There's something else going on that we need to drill down and find. You called me is a drill down problem. That's not real. What is that? I know I called you. That's a fact. Moving on. And, so okay, yeah, I called you. Sure, but you're still on the phone with me. So let's drill down on this and figure out what it is. Are you telling me, well, I'm not looking to sell right now. You called me, so I guess I'll book it in, but I ain't selling right now. Let's find that out on our call. Let's figure that out now so we can deliver something on the nurture side instead of booking an appointment. And hey, when you do drill down, sometimes, like Jordan was saying, you actually find a better motive. They end up giving you something, because if someone says this at the end, what's triggered in them? Something along the process has re-triggered sales resistance. That's not an honest answer. Or maybe it is. If that's an honest answer, well, you called me. If that's their honest answer, they probably aren't that motivated, in which case the quality is questionable and we should nurture it. Or the you called me as a sales resistance thing, like, I don't want to tell you all my motives here, like, let me just talk to the agent. If that's the case, your pull away should get a real motive out, because if they actually want to meet the agent, okay, great. Then when I pull away and go, we don't have to book this, they go, no, we are, like I said, we are looking for downside. Oh, okay, I've got a motive now, we book it in. Make sense? I would say like a year and a half, 2 years ago, first of all, our team was completely different people. More importantly, I think the training we were doing back then was so high level stuff, like things that I think everyone in this room would be shocked to hear. Like you have to explain that part to somebody. Like that's the easy stuff. It's cool to see how like granular our trainings are getting on this back end, like such specific niche circumstance. But I think especially as we continue to grow the team and as you guys keep doing the calls, you guys keep applying more of this stuff, we're gonna run out of scenarios almost of like things to actually talk about. So like, no, we trained on that. No, I know that. No, I know that. And we're just gonna get these weird one-offs of like a guy died on the phone. What do I do? Like that's those very strange one-offs. Me and Brandon were talking about that. That's going to happen eventually to someone. Eventually, we talk to enough people. Eventually, statistically, something crazy is going to happen. But any questions, for you guys? Cool. Let's have a great week. Thank you, Michaela. Thank you for the energy.
You're welcome.